Hey, what's up, world? It is Relationship, Romance, and Propaganda Podcast. It is the dynamic duo, Rachel K. Burke and Imani Shakur, virtually in quarantine. And we're in Southern California, guys. So I think we're almost over, huh? I heard about the 4-phase plan today that I think we're opening in 2 weeks, like the
Really?
first phase. Yeah.
Really? Oh, I didn't know this. Tell me.
Yeah, in 2 weeks, we start like a slow reopening. So hopefully I could see Rachel maybe
Ooh.
sometime in May. I'm thinking end of May, early June, we could probably get back together. That's what I'm
Oh,
thinking.
good.
So
Oh, like
something like that.
what are they
You
going to
know,
open first?
you know what? It's a long list. That's what I was looking up when you first got on.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a whole thing. Look it up when we get off. It's a
I will.
whole detailed thing. It's so we have a 4-phase plan,
Okay.
that they're gonna, slowly open. And it's funny, I got an email from Miramonte today that they're gonna reopen in May. People
Really?
coming back, yeah, and stuff like that.
Oh, you
Now,
must be
now,
so
now, now,
excited.
now I don't know if it's safe because all the doctors are saying still don't do that. Like, give
Okay.
this thing time,
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, before we get too deep into it, we are a relationship podcast, the sexiest one on the planet. On YouTube, ISCT Group Digital. Make sure you subscribe. Catch us where you get your podcast. Thank you for all the listeners that always listen. And don't forget to follow us on social media. And we expose the truth and broadcast the lies every week, even in quarantine. So that's pretty much it. What I wanted to say was that I was looking at what country was that started the rollout early? And
China.
yeah, and then they started to have more cases. You
Yeah,
know what I
did
mean?
did you hear too that they actually had bracelets over there and they couldn't leave their house. It was like house arrest
Right.
or it would notify the authorities. So they literally could not leave their house. They had to get everything delivered.
Yeah.
So the only people that could leave were delivery people. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
But
everybody was on the beach down by you, or was it in Newport and Huntington? And
it was OC. It was
yeah, it's
OC.
Orange County. And it's like
Yeah.
they're saying, oh my God, these people are nuts. You know what I mean? Like they're saying that if we do, and because Rach, honestly, to me,
Yeah.
if we open May 15th,
Hmm.
why not open today? There's no difference between today and May 15th. I mean, for this to really work, we really have to shut it down, do massive testing, and open in August or something.
Yeah.
For it to really work. Because to me, why don't they just open today? If you're going to open in May, what difference does it make?
I
You
don't
know what I
know.
mean?
It's just a mess. Like because
Yeah,
so they rolled out something today too, where if you're an independent consultant, you can file for unemployment if you're not eligible. Because that's what I'm trying to do, and it's a mess because they didn't have my
mhm.
W-2 from last year. I had to mail it in, and nobody's
Okay,
responded. So now I'm like I can also file. I did have a 1099. That was the bulk of my income last year.
right.
So I can file that, but then I'm like, what if they get the W-2 and I'm eligible for
Hmm.
the other one? I don't know. So I tried to file this morning. So many people are doing it. The system just keeps crashing. Like you
Yeah, yeah,
can't get
yeah,
through.
yeah.
It's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
But I could tell things were starting to turn around because I went to the grocery store for the first time yesterday. I actually
Hmm.
drove by. I was going somewhere else and there was no line. I was like, oh my God, there's no line. Because
Hmm.
I usually get it delivered and it's like a week wait. And yesterday there
Hmm.
was no wait. And I was like, okay, something's different. So
Hmm.
so I went there. They had toilet paper. There was no line. I was like,
Hmm.
okay, all
That's
right,
good. Yeah.
starting to come around. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I think,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't.
well, yeah, a friend of mine was telling me that a lot of her friends are losing their relationships because they were quarantined with their boyfriends, and it's
Oh,
not working out. And a lot of them are dumping their boyfriends. She was just telling me this yesterday.
yeah, and marriages too. I'm sure.
Down
I
in
think.
LA too. Yeah.
Oh, I bet
She
the
was like, yeah, a
divorce
lot of my
rate.
friends are breaking up because they
Yeah,
spending so much and they realize that this ain't working. Isn't
right.
that interesting? And we talked about that
And
on
well,
one of the
because I
shows.
kept saying there's going to be like so many people are going to be getting divorced, and there's going to be
Yeah.
new divorcees on the market, and then you have the opposite thing where like I have friends that are still dating in quarantine and so they're
Hmm.
just going on walks with these guys, but
Right.
it's like do they really like you or are they just bored because they're in a quarantine and nobody's really
Right.
hanging out with them, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right. Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. But yeah, because I have, my friend that I always talk about, she had like a new guy that's like they've gone on like 8 dates and then he kind of went quiet. But just for a couple of days. And so this is kind of why I want to talk about dating games today, because it's like
Yeah.
don't want to say she's playing a game, but kind of, because she's not being herself. It's like
Okay.
she literally will draft these texts and have me read it, have her therapist read it. I'm like, you're having other, you're having
a therapist read it.
honest God, her, like we're like editing her text, and I told her, I'm like,
Interesting.
I'm not doing this anymore. Like,
Yeah.
be you.
Yeah.
You write the damn text,
Yeah.
because like if I write the text, he's not dating me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like you're not gaining anything by not being yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
I used to help some of my male friends with that though. Help them draft texts up, because some people just don't have it and they say the wrong things.
But,
you know?
But here's,
I used to help. But the problem is, when he wasn't with me though, he would go back to being himself, and he would mess it up.
Right.
Because I wasn't there.
But here's my thing, and this is what I want to talk about today.
Yeah.
If you really like someone, no text is going to mess that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've
liked guys like you too, you mean, as well.
Yeah, like, I mean, if we like each other.
Vice versa, right.
Yeah, if some guy gets a little weird, sends me a weird text, but I like him, I'm going to be like, it's all good, dude. Like, don't overthink it. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know? And this is what I keep telling her. I'm like, they're going to find out you're crazy anyways.
Right.
So just be crazy now. Like, some guys are into crazy. You know what I mean? It's like she's trying to like be the cool girl and have other people write her texts and seem cool, but it's like, girl, deep down you ain't cool. You're a head case, you know?
Right.
Yeah, you gotta just be you.
That's funny. It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
So what do you have? What did you want to? Yeah, let's like get into it.
All right. So I want to talk about if dating games really work. What's your opinion on that?
There is a fine line. You know, I wouldn't really call it a game.
Okay.
Well, yes, let's call it a game that you're forced to play, because with humans, sometimes for some reason, especially in relationships, you just can't be organic the way you are, because sometimes that comes off as too anxious or too needy, or he's too nice, or he's too mean, or so I always would say there is an art to creating a relationship, and it sucks that you have to put it in some sort of art form for it to kind of go correctly. Okay. But I honestly think you do have to like do that, because if you act the way you want to act, you know, in an organic way, some people take it wrong sometimes, and you're forced to like, okay, let me not text her again right now. Let me wait until tomorrow. And you want to know what I want to do for my listeners? This is a good rule of thumb. This is what I do. I'm very symbiotic in my approach, right? So say I meet you out one day in Santa Monica, and we're vibing, we exchange numbers, and we start to talk, and we start to get to know each other. If you give me 1, I give you 1. On a level of scale of 1 to 10.
You match their energy.
If you give me 2, I'm gonna give you 2. If you start off on 10, I'm gonna start off on 10. You know what I'm trying to say? If you're 5 one day and go back to 8 in 2 days, I'm gonna just match it toe for toe, and just keep it even keel. That's what I do.
It's funny you say that, because I just saw like a TikTok video of this guy that always gives dating advice, and he said that. He said if a guy sends you a text and it just says hey, you write back and you say hey.
Right.
And you don't say anything else because he's not giving you anything. Like,
right.
You got to match that energy.
Right.
There's a lot of girls who do that. They'll try too hard. Like, hey, what are you up to? You know, what's going on? Nope. You say, hey, that's it.
I try to match the energy, man. And I really find, and it's funny, I've matched that energy in the past. And then it's gotten 10 for 10 and it's going, and the person would back out.
Okay.
And then try and blame me for doing what she was doing.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm just matching your energy. Now you're scared? Like, why'd you start off like that then? You know, why'd you let it get to that then?
Yeah,
and then get scared and back out and looking at me like I did something crazy. No, I was matching your energy the entire time.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, and I have one good thing to say about this as well. So it was this one girl that really liked me. She was cool as hell. There were a few physical things I didn't like about her because I'm so picky. And I would let her know. And we were vibing, right? And you know, she was on 8 and I was on 4 because I didn't want to give her the wrong impression.
Yeah.
And we were vibing and the sex was great and this, that, and the other. But I wasn't on 8 because I didn't want to give her the wrong impression and end up hurting her on the end.
She was too much.
No, she wasn't too much. It was just things that I didn't like. So I didn't, and I kept telling her, hey, you know, I'm here because I'm unsure. But she still liked me so much, she kept coming on 8. So when I finally had to tell her, hey, you know what I'm saying? When I finally backed out, she got really upset. And I had to remind her, I said, why are you getting upset? I was upfront with you the entire time. Right. And you're the one that kept it where you wanted to keep it, knowing where I was. Mm-hmm. You knew there was a chance that I could back out. And I purposely didn't do and say certain things so that you wouldn't have to feel like this. But she felt a kind of way anyway.
I know. I think we do that. I think we sometimes have like false expectations, right? Because people tell you who you are, who they are from day one.
I was really upfront with this chick, completely upfront, but, always.
I think if you like someone, we hope that's gonna change. But in reality, it's like people tell you who they are from day one, what they want from day one, and you can't be like, oh, he's just not ready, he'll come around,
right?
Because
and there was a possibility that I could have changed with this girl, but I happened to meet someone else in the process, which kind of really made me go, okay, let me focus on this now. And
you weren't that into her.
Amazing girl. To anybody else would see it like, Imani, you're nuts, but I'm so picky about it's funny anyway. Really sweet girl though. I actually still like this chick. She's a really sweet girl. You know what I mean?
I know, but it's like, you like what you like. I think as far as dating games, I think 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, I would have said like, yes, 100%, you have to play them, right? I read all the books, all of that. Yeah. But now I have a different approach.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why, because I feel like if you have to play games to make someone love you, that's not love, that's manipulation, right?
Yeah.
So any relationship I've ever been in, I've never had to play games. It was just like, I met them, I heard from them every day. If they called me, I'd pick up. If they texted me, I'd text back. There wasn't any game playing. I didn't, I never felt like, oh, he hasn't called me for a day, I'm not going to pick up, or he hasn't texted me, I'm not going to text back. I never felt like that because it just felt organic, right? And I felt like I could be myself and it was going in the right direction. Yeah. When I feel like I have to start playing a game, something's wrong. Generally, because and that's where I think a lot of people get a little messed up is, if somebody pulls back, then you pull back, right? Because you're matching the energy.
Right.
But it's like you're playing a game because you feel that they already have one foot out the door and they're already getting distant. So the problem with that, and Jess actually said this when we had her on, she said the problem with playing the games is, let's say you pull away and the other person comes back around, and then you re-engage them. And then when they get distant again, you pull back. She's, and I remember she said this, she said, all you're doing when you play that game is keeping the love avoidant person in your life, right? Right. Because the people that works on are generally avoidance. Right. So because they get distant when you take away their independence, remember?
Right.
So, that happens. But back in the day, it's so funny, like in, I think like high school, my friend had read this book called The Rules. And it was like, so this is the girl we're going to have on the podcast. And so I can have her talk about it a little more. But I just remember it was like this very old school, like, honest to God, it was like, you can't like answer a guy, only answer, or only call a guy once for every 5 times he calls you. Like it was like serious, like mathematical equations and all of this stuff. It was like old school. Yeah. And then I feel like the 2.0 version came out, which was the book called Why Men Love Bitches, which I think is a little, I actually looked at it this morning because I think it's pretty good. Because it's not really about being a bitch. It's about like a woman maintaining her independence and not losing herself over a man, right? Because isn't it so unattractive to you when a girl is just like trying too hard? Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Like just like needy and desperate and comes off. It's like, whatever you want to do, it's like, cause a girl can be pretty as anything, right? But if she doesn't have that like self-worth and like maintain her own independence and have her own life. And it's just like she wants to have her life revolve around a man. I feel like you can sense that, right?
Yep. You can.
And it's not, I think
it's not attractive.
No.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. So, but those women that are like that, though, you have to ask yourself, like, what's going on with them that they have to be like that, or that they are in that space?
I think they're anxious daters.
Right. Stemming from whatever they've been through or their past and this, that, and the other.
Yeah, because I think maybe we all have a little bit of that in the beginning. Like I do, definitely, but it's when it's in the beginning and it's uncertain, right? So if I don't know where it's going, you know, I get a little bit of that, but I don't get too crazy, you know, like a little bit here and there. I'll be like, oh, there goes my crazy again.
Right.
But it's, you know, but I always know in my intuition when it's fine. You know what I mean?
Because what I was going to say is there a difference between a woman organically in a healthy way being interested like that, or over interested, if you want to call it that, and the one that's being just in an unhealthy way over interested and you know what I'm trying to say?
Well, I think that's why they say anxious people should date other anxious people.
Yeah.
And it's like my friend who was super anxious is like, it's really frustrating because whatever her therapist says she thinks is the gospel, you know, because this woman's 70 years old and she has, you know, degrees and all this and that and the other thing. But I'm like, but her therapist told her that doesn't work when anxious people date other anxious people. So she's like trying to find somebody who's secure. And I'm like, you're not secure.
Yeah, so that's not going to work.
Right.
You're not secure person's going to be like, hey, what's up with this? Just
right. Yeah. Like, give him a space, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I feel like that. And she's not listening to me. And it's like, don't come to me for advice all the time if you're not going to listen to me. You know?
Right.
Look, honestly, you're just wasting my time. Like, you need to find someone who's similar to you. That's what I think.
Why would her therapist tell her to date another anxious? That makes no sense.
That she doesn't because she doesn't think that works. She thinks two anxious people, that doesn't work. But I disagreed because my ex in Boston was anxious and he drove me crazy. And then the funny thing is the girl that he ended up marrying was more anxious than he was.
Right.
And it's like he all of a sudden became the secure one.
Yeah. So they're anxious together, and then it works.
I was like, that's perfect.
Yeah. It works. Just like the avoidant is better with the avoidant.
Right. Yeah. They just won't talk about anything, which is also weird, you know,
Right.
But that's, you know, what some people want.
Right.
And I said too, I think other people can bring out different sides of you. Cause I think that anxious girl actually made my ex feel more secure because she was anxious, you know? So I think people can make you feel a different way.
Yeah. That's true.
But, you know, cause I think just by playing a game, you're not being yourself. Right.
Yeah.
And like they're gonna find out who you are anyways.
Yeah.
So I just feel like when things feel organic and I know it's going in the right direction, I don't feel like I have to play that game. Because I'm very responsive. Like I'm generally my phone is here at all times, right?
I'm the same. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You're very responsive too. And so I don't know. I just feel like when anybody I've been in a relationship with, they just call me every day and I answer it. You know what I mean? And it feels okay.
Yeah. That makes sense. Because when it's cool and it's natural, I mean to cut you, when it's cool and it's natural, it feels right and you're kind of just vibing and you don't have to worry about if it's a game or not a game or, you know what I mean? You're just kind of going and it's correct.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think, because I remember my friend Daryl once said like this woman got a text from this guy that she really liked. And she said, I'm going to wait 3 hours to text him back. And he goes, why? And she said, because he always waits 3 hours to text me back. She was matching his energy. And he goes, that's ridiculous. And I go, Daryl, I've done that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing with you and I, right? If we're very responsive people, I feel like we're going to be good with somebody who's also
also responsive. Yes.
If a dude takes 3 hours to text you back, cool. He needs to go find somebody else that sucks at the phone.
That sucks at, community. I completely agree. And you know what? What if you're vibing with someone and everything is cool, but when it comes to the exact thing we're talking about right now, it's just not in place. And you're like, but damn, what's so cool? Like, why can't you just respond the way I respond? And you know what I'm trying to say?
I think it doesn't work. because every relationship I've been in, they've always been responsive. They always answer. They always text me back pretty quickly. And I think I'm attracted to that because I'm that way. I think that would drive me crazy.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
That would make me anxious, I think, if I was, texting.
Yeah, you're like
hours to get back to me. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Your phone's right here.
And what's funny is I don't even think those people realize that their actions, it's what's making them perceive us as anxious. But it's because, right. You know what I'm saying? We're not anxious. You're just not responding.
I always say that about women. It's like, God, women aren't that crazy. You guys make us crazy, you know?
Right, exactly. We're not anxious. You're just not responding. So I'm coming across like that.
Yeah.
If you just responded a little bit, you'd see that I'm normal.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. So, I was looking at this book this morning because I haven't read it in years. And I was like, let me see if this, because in my 20s, I was all about the games and, just being a jerk to guys.
Yeah, young, hot, playing a bunch of games.
there are, and I'll get into this too, but there are men that do like those games.
Yeah.
The problem is, like, I am not the girl for you. If you if you want a psycho girl, plenty of them out there.
Oh, yeah.
They'll play games with you, go for it. But like, I don't want that. I don't want that in my life, you know?
Yeah.
So she said that, there's this chapter on like why men will distance themselves in the beginning when they start dating a woman. So she said that like men will, they'll step back, they'll distance themselves, basically because they don't want you to know like how much you like them. Like, cause you're basically afraid of getting hurt too. And she said, you'll actually plan like when you're going to call a girl. So like, if it's Tuesday, you'll be like, all right, I'll hit her up Thursday. And like, even though we really would want you to call on Tuesday, you don't want to seem too eager. Do you do that? Cause I feel like,
well, men in the beginning, when I first meet someone, yes.
Yeah.
Like say I meet you in San Diego on a Saturday.
Right.
I'll consciously go, I'll hit her on maybe Tuesday. I'm going to hit her Sunday or Monday. Give it a few days, maybe Tuesday, even if I want to. Okay. Because too many times in the past, when you've hit them up sooner than that, it's like, oh man, why are you hitting me so fast? But to me, it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I honestly think men just adopted that because of the way we've been treated when we have been.
Right. Because it is still a game, right?
Right, exactly.
Because if you're being you'd want to hit him up that day.
Exactly.
Like, hey, it's great to meet you.
It's an art to actually creating it. And the funny thing is, here's the whole bias. I can meet you in San Diego on Saturday night and start driving back to Temecula at 2 a.m. And if you hit me at 2:30, that's okay because you're the girl. Well, hey, it was nice to meet you. Have a safe drive back. And it's like, oh shit, she hit me.
Oh, see, I wouldn't do that.
Right, but that has happened.
I would feel the same way because I would feel like, oh, they're gonna think I'm like too desperate if I hit him right away. But you know what's funny? The celebrity guy that I told you that I had the thing with, he hit me that night. He was like, great to meet you. Let's hang. Next day, like 2 p.m, was like, let's hang tonight.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he's a celebrity, so he doesn't have to play games.
Right.
Like, she's already into me. Like,
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, it's okay if you guys do it, but it's looked at funny when we do it. But I have to say, even when that's happened to me, and I'm taking this from truth, when I have met someone in San Diego and this happened, it didn't feel anxious at all. It felt cool. And I don't know if it's the way the text come across or what the words say in it, but I could tell that it wasn't like one of those anxious moves.
Okay.
Hit me, had a few texts back and forth on my way back, and it went fine after that. The next day or the after we spoke again, and we ended up connecting the day after that. And it was cool.
Yeah.
So I honestly think that there's a way that anxious woman could have also hit me, and I could have felt that that same night.
Yeah, I think you can tell because I see the text my friend sends to guys, and it's like long, right? Like she's not really matching that energy. But it's and this is the problem because Imani, I'm not kidding. She texted me the other day 17 times. Like I hadn't responded. I hadn't responded to any of them. Just new drafts of this text that she was going to send because she's hung out with this guy a bunch. And basically she kind of, you know, told him Saturday, like just kind of asked him if he was looking for something serious, you know, if he saw it going anywhere. And I was like, after 8 dates, it's perfectly acceptable to ask that.
Yeah.
And so they actually hung out again on Sunday, and then she hadn't heard from him since. So Friday, it's like she came over here Thursday night. She goes, all right, if I don't hear from him, I'm just going to hit him up this weekend. Because now it's been like a week. And I'm like, yeah, that is kind of weird.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Friday she went crazy, but it's like, I need, you know, and you just like, you need to protect your own energy, right? And it's like, I gave you all my energy last night. I helped you draft the stupid text you're going to send. I can't deal with it all day Friday too.
Right.
I got stuff to do. I got my own stuff going on.
Right.
So I ignored it all day. And it's just like the text kept changing. Because at first it was like, I'm going to say, you know, I'm really disappointed. I haven't heard from you all week. And I'm thinking, oh, dear God, she's letting the crazy come out, right?
Yeah.
Cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
But I was like, that sounds so stupid.
Yeah, don't say that. Just be like, hey, haven't heard from you in a week. Just wanted to drop you a line and say, hello, what's going on or whatever. That's it.
Because the problem is if you say, like, I'm really disappointed, I haven't heard from you all week. It's like, you have 2 fingers too. You can text him too. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like that sounds like he's responsible for doing all the texts. But that's what happens is like when she goes crazy, all the emotions come out and she wants to send these emotional texts.
Right.
But it's like, dude, I get it, but you can't call me and your therapist every time you want to send a damn text. Like, you've got to figure it out for yourself.
Yeah, just vibe with it. Yeah.
Right. Because the thing is, like, it's like, calm down. Take, you know, don't send the emotional text. And then, because she eventually figures it out. And then a couple hours later, she was like, okay, I'm just going to say happy Friday. Like, what are you up to this weekend or something?
Right.
But the thing is, like, this is what I mean about the games. It's like that crazy's in there. He's going to figure it out.
Right.
You know, so whether she sends the crazy text now or down the road, I feel like somewhere out there's going to be a guy that can handle that crazy.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
There'll be someone that's perfect.
Right. that's also a little anxious.
Right. That's perfectly okay with that, all that. Anxious himself. And it's, oh, this is what I was looking for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I'm going to ask you this, because this actually goes into what we're talking about. So the book also said that men will sometimes pull back deliberately to see if you care.
Yeah. If you're unsure,
okay,
you would do that just to see. I mean, have I done that?
I feel like you're not like Aquariuses aren't really game players. You guys are kind of straight shooters.
I don't think I've done that before, but I've heard of it, but I haven't really.
Well, I think you did. I think you did with M, right? Because when she got distant, I think you were matching that energy. I think you told me that.
No, because it went pretty quickly. I mean, it went from good to bad like pretty quickly. I didn't have time to you know what I'm saying?
Where are we?
Yeah, I just got a call one day. It wasn't like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I mean, I felt something was wrong in the communication, and then shortly after that it ended. So I didn't have time to play the game or try to see or anything. It ended pretty quickly.
Because Capricorn is the one sign, or one of them, that you do kind of have to play that game with.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Because they get bored if you like them too much.
Facts. Yeah. says it on every forum from here to Timbuktu. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Says it on every forum from here to Timbuktu.
But this is what I mean with the games. It's like,
But see that, so a Capricorn then just needs someone else like that.
Another Capricorn.
Yeah, because for someone that's the total opposite, it's never gonna work. Right. You know, and me and Crispy, we had a talk about this whole thing, and he was like, man, had you done that, it still would have never worked, because that's not who you are.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
You would have just been making a sacrifice for something, but that's not who you are.
Well, you literally would have to play a game your entire relationship.
Right.
You know, and I think I said that to you.
Yeah, you did say it.
Like,
yep.
Oh no, man! Proceed with caution.
Yeah, it's true though. It's facts. That's how. Yeah. And let me say this real quick. Me and my mom was talking about this the other day, just zodiacs and Capricorns, because her granddaughter, my daughter, is a Capricorn.
Right, yeah.
So most of my mom was telling me, well, are you teaching Layla now not to be like that? I said, Mom, you saw what she did with her first boyfriend.
Yeah, I don't know if you can teach.
You can't teach it. I was like, Mom, that's what her zodiac is,
right?
And that's what's gonna match. It's like it comes from the stars. Like that's just how she is already.
Yeah,
she'll tell you that's just how she is already. She does not care. You have to be like, soon as her first boyfriend started getting
clingy. Yep.
She dumped him.
Yep, you're out.
She dumped him. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it is what it is. And, so had he played the game as we're talking about,
right,
he probably would still be with my daughter right now.
Oh, and I'll tell you something. That worked like a charm with my ex. Like, because I only had to do it a little bit. Because, he was pretty, he was pretty consistent. But he did go through those phases where it was like hot, cold, distant here, distant here. And I remember the first time I had to do it was about 3 months in.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt, or 4 months in, it was like 4 months in, I think. Mm-hmm. And I felt the distance and I was like, what's going on? And, he made up something, like we were very different, and I smoked pot and he had kids, and, I'm a night owl. I'm very creative. He isn't. So he was kind of creating things to distance himself. Mm-hmm. And I was like, cool, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go on a hike with my girlfriends all day today and not answer his phone calls. Dude went bananas.
Serious. Yeah.
I didn't answer. He would call again. He was leaving voicemails. But that was what I had to do our entire relationship, Imani.
Yeah.
Every couple of months I had to play that game. And then I told him. And then like when he really, after 2 years, was like, okay, I don't think this, when he stopped calling me on the weekends, it was like, I don't think this is going to go anywhere. Cool. That's when I was like, let's take a break. I went to London, phoned another guy. I was like, I know where this is going to go.
Right.
I know where this is going to go.
Right.
I'm going to come back. I'm going to tell him he's going to lose his mind.
Right.
And he did. And then it was like, I love you. I want to get married. And it's all because I played a damn game.
Yeah.
But that's not who I am. I don't want to play. I don't want to play games.
Yep.
I didn't want anyone else. I wanted him. But it's like, but I don't, it's not healthy. Like
it's not healthy.
I didn't want to play a game my whole relationship.
Yeah.
You do.
It's true. And it's funny. I would have ended up, now I'm thinking I have done that a little bit, not with M, but with someone else.
Okay.
Before her. I do remember just doing it to just make sure they cared. I can't remember what the situation, but it was something really small that I did. It wasn't
you did pull back a little bit.
Just a little bit. I forget who and what, but I just remember it. You know what I mean? But let me tell you this though. This is a crazy story. So I had a Capricorn come and just smashed me because her boyfriend was getting too clingy.
Okay.
Her boyfriend that she's had for years started to get too clingy. And she was like, he's just tripping. I'm just upset with him. I'm like, what did he do? He wants me to tell him good morning text all the time now. And I was like, are you serious? It was so funny. Because when I met her, she had a boyfriend. It was the same boyfriend. So she hit me up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, so I'm assuming she was single. She's like, no, we're still together. I'm just upset with him because he keeps wanting me to send him good morning text now. I'm like, are you serious? This is a Capricorn.
But then as soon as he gets distant, she's going to love him again.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And this woman came over here, had sex with me, I swear, just because she was upset with her Capricorn boyfriend.
Right.
I was like, no, you can't make this shit up. You got to be kidding me.
But it's like, I think like some of those, some people just, they need those games. And I do think some people play those games organically, like Geminis, right? Because Geminis are so, I love you. They're the Sour Patch Kids, I always call them, right? They're either I love you or they're feisty. I love you or they're feisty. And so those guys or women, those people that need the game, they need that constant chase or whatever. Like they'd be great with the Gemini because Gemini is going to keep them guessing.
Right.
They might be in a good mood today. They might be
in a bad mood tomorrow.
They might want you to take off.
You'll
never know.
Yeah.
Because some guys are like, they're like masochists. I dated a Scorpio in Boston. And I was like way too laid back for him. He wanted a crazy girl. And so once I got crazy on his ass, which is really just because I was done with him. He was hooking up with other girls. Like I was all set. And I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. Dude stalked me for years.
Wow.
I was like, but no, I'm not a naturally crazy girl. Like,
right.
So, you know, I think everyone finds their own organic match. Like, I think, you know, like, I think my bottom line for this subject is that if you play a game, you're not going to attract the right type of person.
I agree. I can totally agree with that.
Yeah.
You can't just be yourself and chill and vibe. You're not going to attract the right person. I completely agree.
Yeah.
You know, and if it's right, which we talked about when we had Jess on, and if it's right, you know, you won't have to play a game anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it'll just be cool, and you could be yourself, and he or she could be themselves, and it'll just work the way it's supposed to work.
But I do think there's a little bit, you do have to do a little bit in the beginning, right?
Yeah, there's an art in the beginning to creating it. I agree with that too.
Yeah, you don't want to be too eager. You don't want to be too desperate. Like, because I think we all get a little crazy in our heads, right?
Yeah.
Like if I don't hear from, let's say, this guy for a night, you know, I might be like, oh, he didn't hit me up. Like the next day, I'm not going to be like, why didn't you text me last night? You know what I mean? Like,
even if you're used to the person texting you, and
there is stuff you have to maintain. You do have to maintain your own life and like stay busy and maintain your own. Because I'll admit I do get like when I do get attached to a new person, I do get wrapped up in that.
Right.
You know, and it's like I get used to having that new person around. And it's sort of like when they're not around, like, okay, Rach, you got to still be you. You got to do all the things that you like to do. Cause I get so used to having like them around. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, definitely. There's a last thing I want to say. There's a book called The Art of Seduction where it's fascinating actually. And it's all about like the different types of people and what we're attracted to. And so like, if you were going to try to play a game with a Pisces to get them to like you, you would play like a damsel in distress. Like they love to help. Like Pisces men love damsels in distress. They love to help you. They love the women that have the issues. And every Pisces guy friend I know, they always end up with a woman who was like abused in her last relationship, or her husband left her for another girl. Like they just have that like sad soul, and that's what they're attracted to. If you're a happy, confident girl, you got it together. They don't want that.
Pisces,
yeah. So it goes into all the different types, and like it's a crazy book though. It's dark because it's like if you really want to attract this person, this is what you got to do.
This is what you need to do. Interesting.
And you have to you have to figure out what type that person is, and then figure out what you can do to get inside their head to get them to basically worship you and like never leave you. And, you know, and I do think it could work if you really did all of this, but. Like I said before, like it's not love, that's manipulation. You know, so that whole relationship, you're going to be like, I manipulated them to be with me. Like they're not with the real you, you know? So no.
I agree. Yeah. I know a couple that actually did that, and the guy did that and ended up losing the girl in the long run.
Because he wasn't authentic, right?
Yeah. He read one of those books and figured out what he needed to do together. And aesthetically, he was out of her league. If you saw them,
he was better looking.
She was way better looking.
Oh, I see.
And he read one of those books.
Yes, that's
what
the book
got her. Yeah,
that's what the book talks about, because they actually go into. This is the interesting part for me, was they go into history. So like Casanova was one of the greatest seducers of our time. Casanova, Cleopatra. Casanova was not good looking. Cleopatra was not good looking. But Cleopatra would change up her look all the time because men want variety. Men get bored easily. So she'd always have her hair different, her makeup different, her outfits different. And she would play these mind games. Like Asian countries, they would train the Asian women over there on how to walk and everything.
I heard about that.
it's like they would seduce the great rulers and everything. Like it's a really fascinating history lesson.
Yeah.
Marilyn Monroe, they had to train her on how to speak because she had a really high pitched baby voice. So they actually had to teach her to lower it to be more seductive. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
So I think back in history they used to do that. I think if you weren't the best looking person, you have to really, and I think that works more with women, right? Because like women wear more, men are visual, women are emotional.
You're more emotional. Yep.
Yeah, because I've known some guys that weren't that good looking that get all these girls. I know this guy, he's super short and he gets all these girls, and I'm like, what is this guy doing?
He probably read one of those books.
Yeah, he knows. Yeah, he knows how to.
Because I don't care what book you read. If I'm not physically attracted to you, it's not going to work.
Right.
You can try whatever, but we're really physical, though, like you're saying.
Yeah.
So it works on women, I think, a lot easier.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's funny.
Right. Yeah. Good talk.
Yeah, man. Cool. Right. That was some good stuff. Are you still hanging out with the one guy?
I am. Yeah. He was. He stayed over. Yeah, that's why I didn't feel good yesterday and I couldn't shoot because
Oh, no, that's cool. I wasn't tripping. Yeah.
Yeah, he stayed over 2 nights ago. It was the first time I'd stayed here, and like when you don't sleep well, when it's like you're at a new person's house or you got a new person here, and so we just didn't sleep all night. And yesterday I was like, I woke up, I'm like, oh man, I'm not feeling great. So got a good night's sleep tonight. So today I was ready.
Good, perfect.
Perfect. He's great. He's great. Everything's good.
Cool. Okay.
What about your chick?
Yeah, it's cool. Just vibing, no complaints.
Yeah.
way too much fun. No complaints.
Yeah,
so I can't say anything.
I'm digging this quarantine, I gotta say.
Right. some of us are lucky, but some of us aren't.
Yeah, he still has to work some days, but he has some days off too. So he's been helping me paint and stuff up back.
Yeah, well, that's good. At least he's able to still work and keep things going. So 22 million other people can't so far.
I know.
It's horrible, man.
Hope I get my unemployment soon. I am getting my stimulus check Thursday though.
That's good. Yeah, I got mine already.
Cool.
For the company, not as a person.
Right. Okay.
Because I make too much, but I got it as a company.
Oh, that's good.
My film company, they sent me one, which was cool.
That's good.
They helped with some things till we get back on set,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. So
nice.
Yeah. They just deposited in my account. I got an email when I'm like, oh,
nice.
It was like a Friday night. They just slid it in there.
I know. What's funny is I just got my first audition request today. From my agent on LA Casting. I haven't got anything in months. I actually shut down my account temporarily because I'm like, we can't do anything right now. I don't want to be paying $25
for
month.
For it. It's not. I got you.
So I just got my first one. So I have to do that tomorrow. Look into
That's
it.
Cool.
But I'm like, when are we going to shoot? I guess things are turning back around, right?
Yeah, because we have this new TV show that we're developing, and we did a Zoom call with the production company and the cast yesterday.
Yeah.
And they actually want the cast to like self-shoot because we can't send a team in like we usually would.
Okay.
So that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all work stuff, guys. Thanks for checking in. Stuff is starting to turn around.
We'll be back in the studio soon, guys.
We'll be back soon. Don't forget to follow us on social media. It's Imani, Shakur, and Rachel K. Burke. And I forgot to do this in the beginning, but don't forget about Rachel's books. Love Bites and Sound Bites, a rock and roll love story. While you still have some time to get these read before everything goes back to normal. Google them, check them out. And we will see you guys next week. Right? And don't try to come see me. You know what? Hold on before we go. I saw Crispy the other day because I went to this barbecue place across the street from his house. So he came at the same time to pick up some barbecue, and I saw him, and we had our mask on. We stayed 6 feet. It was so funny. I literally like 2 minutes. Oh, all right, man, I'll see you. And we both left. It was so funny.
I had 2 girlfriends over the other night because now
cool.
I have like a fire pit and everything out in my backyard.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah, I can't wait to come over once this stuff is done and have some drinks and just shoot the shit. That'll be a good time.
I know. We just finished painting the shed, and it looked at my little guest house there. It looks so good.
Send me a picture.
I will. I did teal with a coral door.
Send me a picture. All right.
Send you now.
All right, guys. It's Relationships, Romance, and Propaganda podcast while we're in quarantine, coming to you virtually. And we'll see you guys soon. And Rachel, nice to see you. Have fun. I'll see you in a week.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.